This week on INLC, Black History Month starts. The Anderson Leadership Conference kicked off, and we find out how the freshmen are adjusting to Lynchburg College. My name is Emmanuel Scotland, and this is INLC. This past week, Lynchburg College hosted Brian Motley to talk about the African American Baseball Leagues. Connor Knight has the story. Connor?
To celebrate Black History Month, Lynchburg College hosted Brian Motley's lecture on the Negro Baseball Leagues. Brian's father, Bob Motley, was an umpire for the Kansas City Monarchs. The lecture was about the stories Brian grew up with as a child, as well as the teams that played in the leagues.
I grew up hearing the stories of my father. He umpired in the Negro Leagues from 1947 until 1958, over a dozen years in the Negro Leagues. That's him up there, of course, in the middle of the sky, calling the runner out at first base of the Negro League games. The picture was taken in 1949. As you can see, my father had a very unique and flamboyant manner of umpiring, but it was just part of what the Negro Leagues was all about. It was showmanship. Not only would the umpires get involved and have a little bit of extra fun, but the players also did extra things to entertain the fans.
Thick of it. My father's in the thick of it in the Negro Leagues. I mean, he umpired some of the greatest ball players, he says, that ever lived, including people like Satchel Paige and Willard Brown. I mean, these are some unsung heroes in baseball legend that most people don't know their names, but they were fantastic, great players. What's interesting about those guys is that they didn't realize they were creating history at the time. They were just playing a baseball game. They didn't realize that that was history in the making. It was just a baseball game. But looking back on it, it was a very special time for all of them. So that's why I think it's important to talk about the history and to impart some knowledge about it.
Thanks, Connor. Let's see how LC Sports are doing. Let's get an update with Amy Parada. Amy?
Thanks, Emmanuel. Let's take a look at how our fellow Hornets sized up against some tough competition this week. Lynchburg College received 7 first-place votes as part of 78 overall points to earn the #1 position atop the 2013 ODAC Men's Lacrosse preseason poll. Washington and Lee University picked up a pair of top nods and 71 tallies to place second, just 1 point clear of third standing Roanoke College, which got the remaining vote. This week in men's basketball, junior Manny Hernandez scored a career-high 29 points as the Lynchburg College men's team defeated Emory and Henry College 91-79. Our men's basketball team wasn't the only team to gain a victory against the Wasps. Our highlight game of the week is our women's basketball team's defeat over Emory and Henry College. Our Hornets got off to a quick 5-0 lead in the first minute of play and continued to maintain control for the rest of the first half. Emory and Henry, trailing by 3 at halftime, actually took the lead several times in the second half until a three-pointer by freshman Sammy Goldsmith regained momentum for the Hornets and made the score 46-44. 5 points from freshman Sarah Tolliver and a layup by sophomore Lauren Pentley over the course of 2 minutes late in the game gave Lynchburg its largest lead at 14 points, making the score 69-55. The Hornets managed to keep control of the game and put another win in their pocket with the final score being 72-62. I'm Amy Parada taking a look at this week's sports. Back to you, Emmanuel.
Thanks, Amy. LC students and faculty went to the Anderson Leadership Conference to learn tips on how to be a more effective leader. We go back to Connor Knight to learn what the conference was all about.
The Anderson Leadership Conference is an event that happens every year on the second Sunday of February. Students go into workshops and learn new skills on how to be a more effective leader and public speaker. This year's conference is focused on authentic leadership. Erica Everett tells us what that means.
Authentic leadership is really about leading from where you are and who you are. So we really want people to maximize on their potential by recognizing all that they have inside of them and then working with that to really become the leader that they are meant to be.
So I am very passionate about helping generations really understand each other better. So what I really wanted to try to cover today were, some of the perceptions that millennials have of the different generations, Generation X, baby boomers, and then also what some of the baby boomers and Xers have of the millennials, and how can we bridge that gap and, get a better working environment together. So.
The impact that leadership has here at Lynchburg College on a student is the opportunity of a lifetime. We offer students every opportunity for them to learn about themselves so they can learn how to engage and then become the real movers and shakers in their organization. Our hope is that the stuff that they learn here will ultimately help them to become the kind of leaders that we need in our communities throughout the world.
Thanks, Connor. I might go next year. Let's see how the weather is going to look like. Lisa, can you give us some insight?
Thanks, Emmanuel. It looks like our best chances of precipitation this week are going to be Sunday night into Monday morning, with 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch of rain expected, and Wednesday, where there's a 30% chance of wintry mix expected. But compared to our neighbors up north, we have received nothing. There are parts of the Northeast that received 3 feet of snow in this record-setting blizzard this past weekend. Hundreds of thousands were without power at one point. Parts that were hit by Superstorm Sandy had to worry about flooding once again. The states that were most affected by the storm were New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Some of the biggest cities received extreme amounts of snow, with Boston having 25 inches, Concord, New Hampshire having 2 feet, and New York City receiving over 11 inches. Transportation systems were out during the storm. The New York City airports and Boston Airport have limited service. But like I said earlier, I do not expect to see anything like this in our area for next week. So let's look at our 7-day forecast. It looks like it's going to cloud over Sunday, with rain expected Sunday night into Monday. It will clear out after that with sunny and mild conditions on Tuesday. It will cool down by Wednesday, which is the day we expect to see some wintry mix, so we'll have to watch that. It should be dry for the rest of the week, with highs in the 40s. Remember to like Eye on LC Weather on Facebook and get your weather forecast every day. Back to you, Emmanuel.
Thanks, Lisa. Now to find out what's going on in the world with Becca Loftus. Becca?
Becca Loftus with your international news. In Acapulco, Mexico, a group of hooded gunmen stormed a beach bungalow and attacked a group of Spanish tourists, raping 6 women and tying up the men. Mexico is trying to make better strides to better their government and country, but crime rates remain high under new President Enrique Pena Nieto. It is believed that the attack is not connected to any organized crime, but that the victims may have bought drugs from the suspects the day before. At least 5 are dead and 40 wounded in Baghdad after a camp housing Iranian dissidents was attacked Saturday morning, according to Iraqi police. The attack occurred at Camp Huria, formerly a U.S. base known as Camp Liberty. The rocket and mortar attack occurred early in the morning when most residents were asleep. It is not known who is responsible for the attack. Lastly, Prime Minister Hamadi Jabali of Tunisia said he would step down if the caretaker government he is forming fails to win approval from Tunisia's National Constituent Assembly. This comes after an assassination of opposition leader Chikri Belaid earlier in the week. Jabali denies any connection to the assassination of Belaid. Thousands in Tunisia mourn the loss and urge Jabali to step down. That's all for International. Back to you, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Becca. It is always important to stay informed. We go to Jalen Windsor to see if the freshmen are breaking under pressure. Jalen?
This is Jalen Windsor with
Ben Gerke.
And we're discussing his freshman year so far. So Ben, how do you feel now that you have a college semester under your belt?
Well, Jalen, I gotta say, I feel pretty accomplished. I ended up with some pretty good grades, you know. It was tough, but I made it.
So Matt, how do you feel now that you have a semester of college under your belt?
I feel pretty good. Got some good grades, played some sports. I just had an awesome experience my freshman year.
I'm glad to hear it. So, has college lived up to all of your expectations?
It's even better than I thought it would be, honestly.
How so?
Just the friends that I've made, all the things that I've done, it's just awesome.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And what sort of changes are you planning to make this semester?
I don't plan on making that much. I feel like I did a good job last semester. I'm going to keep continuing to do that.
Good for you. And I'm here with
Taylor Decker.
And so Taylor, how do you feel now that you have a semester of college under your belt?
Pretty good. I'm glad that it's over with, but it was definitely worth it.
Good to hear. And have your expectations of college been met?
Absolutely.
Now, Beth, how do you feel now that you have a semester of college under your belt?
I feel pretty good. When I first got in, I was like, okay, college is going to be different than high school, but I mean, it hasn't been too bad. second semester's gonna be a lot harder, at least for me, with like labs and stuff. But I think hopefully I'll be able to, with the first semester done, I feel like I can do pretty much anything right now.
Well, that's good to hear. What are you majoring in?
I'm an exercise physiology major.
Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And has college lived up to all of your expectations with the media and movies and such?
Oh yeah. I think it's more than better than I expected. With friends and being able to balance things with doing tons of clubs and all this other stuff, I'm really enjoying myself. So
Good to hear.
Thanks, Jalen. That is it for our bi-weekly news update. Stay tuned for more updates from INLC by liking our Facebook page or subscribing to our YouTube channel, INLC. I'm Emmanuel Scotland, and thanks for tuning in. Stay groovy, Lynchburg College.